This conference will now be recorded.
Right. So in the last class, we have started with what screen enhancements. Okay. So we understood that the purpose of screen enhancements is to add customer-specific fields to the standard SAP transactions. The purpose of adding the customer-specific fields is to capture additional data. Okay. So if the standard fields are not sufficient to store your customer specific data, we will be adding what additional fields in the standard transaction. So before we add the fields, what we are going to do, we are going to identify the base table related to that particular transaction, and we need to add the additional fields in that particular base table. Okay, so we cannot directly add the additional fields in the standard tables. We can add them in two ways. One way is we need to check whether the database table is having any customer include. So in the last class, we are trying to enhance the transaction what MP01, MP01. Okay. So for this transaction, from the documentation, we identified one customer exit related to this particular what transaction. There are many customer exits. One of the customer exit related to this transaction is, so if you go to SMOD, yeah, this was a customer exit AMPL 0001, AMPL 0001. And for this customer exit, when we read the documentation, we understood that it contains some 3 function exits and 1 menu exit. So this is your main program name, this is your main screen number, subscreen area, subscreen program name, and subscreen number. Okay. And from the documentation, we understood the base table. The base table is what AMPL. So as part of this AMPL database table, we have one customer include. So if you go to this the base table AMPL in ABAP dictionary in SC level, in the table AMPL, we have added the additional fields, and this table contains what one customer include. Customer include always starts with what CA underscore. So we have one include CA underscore. It was empty earlier. So we have double clicked on that. It has prompted us to create this include. We have created this include, and as part of this include, we have added some two additional fields. Okay, and we already know whenever we add the additional fields in the standard tables, we need to follow the customer namespace standards. According to that, the additional fields must start with what ZZ or what YY. So I am starting with what ZZ here, ZZ competitor name and ZZ competitor address. So after adding the fields in this particular what base table, we went to screen painter, and in the screen painter we have identified the subscreen program number, program name, and the subscreen number proposed by SAP was 1000. As part of this subscreen, we have designed what two additional fields. We went to layout and we have added the two additional fields. So let me open the layout. Right, they are the two additional fields we have designed on this particular subscreen. And after that, what we have done, we have created one project in the T code C mod. We have created one project. I think this is ZXD01PRJ. So let me display it. So if you go to enhancement assignment, we have assigned our enhancement AMPL 0001. Okay, and we have activated that. And when you have tested it, if you go to MP01, okay, provide some material number, existing material number, browse here and provide the material number. I gave it as something J4360. I don't have any other buttons to click here, so let me press enter. That I got a report kind of thing. So in this report, choose one existing entry. Okay, I'll choose something Z2003 and Reynolds. If I go to details, we are able to see the additional fields. We are able to see additional fields. So what is the requirement now? I need to what? I need to enter some data here. Okay, if I enter some data here, when I click on, I don't have save button here. I'll go back. When I save it, it is saying data is changed. If you go to the table ABL, let me check whether data is captured or not. If I go to contents, what is the material number I gave? It's something J4360. When I execute, yeah, this was the entry Reynolds. When I double click on this entry, additional fields are there, but the data is not captured. So what we have done is we are able to see the additional fields in the standard transaction, but the data entered by the user in that particular additional fields, it is not getting captured in the relevant fields of that particular table. So what is the requirement now? We need to write the logic to capture the data. We are able to see the fields, but we are unable to capture the data. So what you have to do is every screen enhancement, or I can say almost every screen enhancement will be associated with two function exits. Okay, almost every screen enhancement will be associated with two function exits. One function exit, one function exit, we call it as PBO function exit, process before output. So in module pool we know that, and we have another function exit, PAI function exit. Okay, so almost every screen enhancement will be associated with two function exits. One is PBO, process before output, another is what? PAI, process after input. This PBO function exit we can use and we can implement it for associating what? Default values for what? Customer specific fields. For associating default values for customer specific fields. And then PAI function exit. So in this case, we are going to transfer data from program to what? Screen. Okay, and PAI function exit, it is used for what? Reading the data entered by the user, on the additional fields. It is used for reading the data entered by the user on the additional fields in runtime. Okay, so in this case, we need to transfer data from screen to what? Program. Okay, so what exactly is the purpose? You'll understand now. So I repeat once again, every screen and exit, or almost every screen and exit or screen enhancement will be associated with two function exits. One is PVO function exit and what? PA function exit. So if you go back to a smart T code, what was the customer exit in our case? AMPL 0001. If I go to components, so apart from this screen enhancement, apart from the screen and exit, we have what? Some three function exits. So out of these three function exit, I need to identify which will act as PVO function exit and which will act as PAI function exit. So if you see the first one, exit underscore SAP LMBM underscore 001, customer exit, customer exit, transfer item data to what subscreen, transfer item data to subscreen. So it is nothing but this one, PBO function is transferring the data from program to what screen. Then you can see the second one 002 customer exit adopt item data from what user screen, means it is used for reading the data entered by the user on that particular additional fields in the runtime. So the first one is what PVO function exit, second one is what PA function exit. Let me check any documentation is available. So if you go to documentation, if it displays, yeah, yeah. First step is you define your fields in the include CA underscore AMPL, which you already done. Then second one is what? You specify these fields in the substring. Yes, you already designed. If you see the third one, using the function exit 001, you pass on the field contents. You pass on the field contents from the include AMPL to your subscreen. And you can see 002, you use the function exit 002 to pass the entered and changed data back to the standard program, means from screen to program. PBO is for from program to screen, PA is for from screen to program. So first of all, my requirement is, see, my requirement is, try to understand. Let me run the T code. If I run the T code MP01, see, my initial requirement is I'll choose one of the entry. I'll go to our details. So the additional fields are displayed here. Whenever this screen is displayed, I want some default values to be associated. Means whenever the screen is displayed, I want some default value for customer name, sorry, competitor name and competitor address. Default value. If the user wants to change, he can change, but default is what? The moment the screen is displayed, I have to show some default values to the user. Okay, that is my initial requirement. So agenda is what? To associate with default values. So which function exit I need to implement? PBO function exit. Why PBO function exit? Already we know in our basic ABAP in module pool, whenever a module pool screen is called, the first event triggered by SAP is PBO, process before output. So whatever the default activity you want to do, that activity you have to associate as part of which logic? PBO module. So what I need to do is I need to implement the what? First function exit. So again, blindly will not implement. Already we know every function exit will be associated with that function module. Okay. Last class or before that, we have seen one example related to exit 01. We have implemented one function exit to achieve what? Additional validation. And we understood that every function exit will be associated with what? A function model. So if I double click on this, the function exit is nothing but a function module exit. So when I double click on that, it has taken the control to what? SC37. As part of this function model, SAP will provide one Z include. This Z include is reserved for what? A user modification. We need to write our business logic as part of this particular include program. So before we do that, we need to understand the signature of this function model. We need to understand what are the parameters available for this function model. We need to understand what parameters meets our requirement. So what I'll do is, before I go to that implementation, first of all, my agenda is what? I want to associate some default value for this field as well as this field. So I should know the name of this field. I should know the name of this particular screen field. How do we identify the name of the screen field? Put the cursor in that field, press what? F1. If I press F1, actually if I go to technical information, yeah, we have the screen field name here. What is the screen field name? AMPL-ZZ component. Done. Let me identify the second field name. I'll put the cursor. I'm not bothered about the other fields. I'm bothered about only about the additional fields. Okay, so I'll put the cursor here, press F1. Go to technical information. What is the name of the field? AMPL-ZZ competitor address. AMPL-ZZ competitor address. Done. So I need to what? After identifying these fields, screen field names, let me just go back to the initial screen. Yeah. So if I come back to this small, so if you see the signature of this function mode, if I go to import, yeah, you can see. So always remember this rule. This is nothing but PBO function exit and PAI function exit. PBO function is used for what? Transferring the data from program to screen. So always in PBO function exit, we'll be looking for import parameters. Okay, in PBO function exit, we'll be looking for import parameters, and a PAI function exit, we'll be looking for what? Export parameters. So if I double click on the first one, it has taken the control to this function builder. In the import section, we have one parameter. What is that parameter? I underscore AMPL. It is like what? AMPL. What are my screen field names? Yes, what are the additional fields I've added? What are the screen field names you identified? AMPL hyphen ZZ competitor name is one field, and AMPL hyphen ZZ competitor address is another field. So both these fields are part of which table? AMPL only. That's why they are prefixed with what? The table structure name. AMPL-ZZ comp name, AMPL-ZZ comp address. So if you see here, this is a parameter which will carry the fields of what? AMPL. Our screen fields are also part of AMPL only. So I need to use this particular import parameter. If I check for export I don't have anyone. Okay, so anyhow in the preview functionality we'll always look for what? Import parameter. So I underscore ampl is a parameter which will carry the fields or which will refer to the fields of what? AMPL. Our additional fields are also part of AMPL only now. So let me implement it. I will go back. I need to implement this function exit now. So where do we implement? In the CMOD transaction. So if we go back to CMOD, already the project is created. I think it is in active mode. Before you make any changes to the existing project, we need to deactivate and do the changes. So I'll click on the deactivate project. Done. Activation project has been undone. I'll open it in the change mode. Yeah, enhancement assignment. Yeah, what is the enhancement? AMPL 0001. I'll go to components. Right. So this one, what is that? Exit underscore. Yeah, in AMPL 0001 customer exit, we have three function exit. I am concerned about what? The first one. So let me double click on this. It will take the control to the function model, nothing but function builder. Done. What is the parameter I need to use? I underscore what? AMPL. So where do we write the logic? In the source code. I'll double click on this include program starting with Z. Okay, if you're double clicking on this for the first time, you will get a warning message in the status bar. We need to press enter and create the include. So let me double click on this. Yeah, I got a what message in the status bar. Program and ZX are reserved for includes for our exit function. Good. So let me press enter. It is saying that include does not exist. Create the object. Yes. I'll save it in the local object. Done. So I need to write the logic. So what is the import parameter? I underscore what? AMPL. I underscore AMPL. Okay, I need to assign. Okay, I need to assign it to what? My screen field. What is my screen field name starting with? AMPL hyphen ZZ competitor name. AMPL hyphen ZZ competitor address. So what I'll do is here I'll say I underscore AMPL hyphen I underscore AMPL is like what? AMPL only, in that we have field what? ZZ competitor name equal to, I'll just give some name as max, then I'll say I underscore AMPL hyphen ZZ competitor address is equal to what? I'll just give some competitor address. Okay, so I'm giving some name. Done. Let me save it. Check for the syntax error. Okay, I don't have any errors. I got the warning related to the enhancement category of AMPL. We are not concerned about that. Just leave it. Okay, activate this. So I wrote some logic. What is the logic I wrote? I'm trying to associate some, I'm trying to initialize some default values to my import parameters. I underscore AMPL is like what? AMPL. AMPL contains what? Both standard fields as well as what? Customer specific fields. So to my customer specific fields, I'm associating some default values. Done. Let me activate this. It's activated. I'll put the breakpoint here. I'm sorry, it was activating. Yeah, I'll put the breakpoint. I'm associating the breakpoint. Why I'm putting the breakpoint is I want to understand at what stage this function exit will be triggered by what? SAP. We don't have any control on that. SAP will trigger the exits at the appropriate place. So I'm putting a breakpoint and let me go back, activate this. Right, let me go back. Right, I'll activate the project. I got a green color here. Let me go back, activate your enhancement. That project has been not activated. Now let us test it. Okay, so I'll give mp01. I'm trying to test it now. mp01, remember I gave the breakpoint in that particular pbo function exit. Right, it is asking for the material number. I guess a material number. I'll press enter. Okay, still it is not going to the debugging mode, which means what? The function exit is not yet triggered. Now I'll choose Reynolds. I'll choose some entry. I'll click on details button. When I click on details button, yeah, now it is going to what? ABAP debugger, which means what? That PBO function is getting triggered when I click on that particular details button.